For sure. Now on into this draft. Grumpjaw going to be the first ban. This is a while since we've seen a Grumpjaw first ban, actually. And I think that's specifically targeted at Hyde. We saw, I think it was week 1, Hyde just went crazy on Grumpjaw jungle.
Yeah, he did. And they're going to pick up the Lyra instead of the Grace here. So that means Grace is open for Tempo Storm. They may potentially, they probably pick up the Grace here, or if they want to get the Baron. But I think Grace makes the most sense here, and then potentially ban Baron or ban Idris based on who they want to pick and play. So Lyra is a good first pick though, because it does counter Baron if they do decide to pick Baron here. So Grace will be picked up here.
Yep. Baron available obviously, but as you say, the Lyra exceptionally good into it. So you'd expect Tempo Storm to probably ban Baron on this rotation. Scarf taken away.
Oh.
Echo Fox. Now, do you ban Baron as Echo Fox here? Do you dare let that through in case Tempo Storm just picks it up anyway?
I think you can let it through just because Idris is still available, and you can just go with the Lyra Idris to try and counter it.
But what if Tempo Storm picks Idris next?
Yeah, exactly. That's the concern. And you really don't want to run Baron into the Grace Idris either, even though they will be fairly close to each other. But it is going to be Kestrel banned away from Tempo Storm. That's another very important ban. I feel like if Kestrel was left open, Tempo Storm may have even taken the Kestrel over the Baron.
Against Baron here. The Kestrel ban is because Gatsby played it yesterday, and he played it really well. So this Jewel here is going to be interesting. They need to play aggressive. The last time Jewel was playing a Baron, it was played by Mouseports, and there was way too much fear. And as long as they're aggressive, they engage, Jewel can beat Baron. But again, it's a Grace. Grace is so good with the Holy Nova. She can stun Jewel when Jewel jumps in, and then Baron can jump away and get away to safety. So this is a little risky. They need to pick another hero that can get onto Baron with Jewel. So they're going to go ahead to Sammy here. He won't be able to get onto Baron, but he's going to give Jewel the support from behind.
So the Jewel coming out, I believe it was Echo Fox that beat the Jewel yesterday that came out from Nova in a very similar kind of composition. So interesting that they're going to go for that one, kind of risk it on this one, but clearly confident in their abilities on that. And Jewel is a pick that has started to really ramp up in North America. Another pick that is Ozo. We saw Von C play this. These lower tier American teams clearly believing that it's TSM knows the meta, and they're more than willing to follow suit.
Yeah, they're going to be trying to maybe mimic TSM's picks here a bit, but a lot of people are thinking that the Jewel into Baron may be a way to counter it. It hasn't really shown itself to be the case. The Ozo pick, this is just Hyde, trying to make this pick work. It's a pick that he's kind of tried to fall back to after the Kestrel and the Grumpjaw were taken away. His glaive used to be very good, but that was the cooldown glaive, which isn't really as strong anymore. So now he's going to look to make this Ozo pick. He really likes to try and have this engage bruiser type of Ozo build.
So are we considering that Hyde's jungle pool really isn't that wide if he's had to fall on something like an Ozo that's so far out of left field just because his main two picks are underway?
He actually plays Ozo very well, very efficient. He actually played it really well yesterday against Hammers and won with it. So this is actually a really solid pick. However, Lyra is good with the Bulwark. She can kind of prevent the next jumps from happening once he tries to get on to the team because it's so easily telegraphed. So it's an early game advantage for the side of Echo Fox, but when Baron gets late game and Grace gets Echo, they're going to win the game easy.
There's also the fact that you mentioned that Lyra can shut down the Ozo with the Bulwark, but at the same time that then frees up the Baron. Because the Lyra, as you say, is so good into Baron because she can portal and bulwark. If she portals bulwarks onto the Baron to shut him down, all of a sudden Ozo is not going to be able to be stopped once he starts his acro bounce. So the Ozo pick is actually pretty smart here, just in what they have.
All right, and obviously a comfort pick for Hyde as well. We'll see if it's going to be able to bring them a victory. It's time to head on into the first game. Let us know who you are supporting at home. Hashtag Vainglory8 on Twitter. Let us know how you're watching here today as well. Get involved on the social media, but it's time to jump on into our first semi-final of North America. It's Tempo Storm up against Echo Fox.
Thank you very much, guys, over on the desk. And Echo Fox coming up pretty big in this draft, but you got to say, Tempo Storm, they've got that Ozo pick, they've got the Baron, two massive playmaking heroes.
Baron especially so far. I mean, we've seen Barons completely carry if they are given enough space to do so. I do like what Fox have brought to the table here. Erwin is on his Samuel. He performed so well on that yesterday. He's having a bit of trouble against the Grace early on, but they are going to force Lost Boy away here, and as Erwin picks up the healing camp. Lost Boy will make another return around the corner, though. This is just the annoying sort of what Grace can achieve in the early game. Has used those boots, we'll have to be super careful, but flares over the wall to get away.
Yeah, Benediction over onto that forward cam, but Erwin seem undeterred, like chasing Lost Boy. Hyde is going to be able to meet Lost Boy now to provide a little bit of backup.
He's
Actually gets rooted from the healing cam. Erwin's going to steal that away. Hyde, this could be big trouble for you, buddy. He goes down to first blood.
Oh no, that's a facepalm moment for Hyde, and Lost Boy Toff brought them right to him. Toff used those boots to go back in and draw out what you would have been better off doing, was saying, okay, look, I haven't really achieved what I wanted to achieve here. Literally walk back out towards his jungle and go and support Ozo in the early game. Now they have given Erwin such a tremendous lead. He can even then rotate from this central Treant to his backs. He'll have a clean rotation to go back on as well. He even could do his forward camps here, then back, pick up some items, and then do his back camps on the way in, and then go straight to lane. So load of ways that he can now play this. It looks like he's going to go for a full clear. What a great start for Erwin, who has been one of the major standout performers for Fox over the course of this weekend.
Man, and what they touched on the desk as well is the fact that Slater can get on that backline with the passageway into the Bright Bulwark. And now they've got this early game lead. It's going to be even easier for Supershot on this duel to shut down this Baron pick, which is such... It's been such devastation. I mean, you've seen from Barons. It really is hit or miss, though. We'll see if Gatsby can actually push forward into this mid-stage of the game and provide a bit of a nuisance to the front line of Fox. But we'll have to wait and see, as we do see, once more, Lost Boy just pressuring the jungle of Fox with Hyde here as well. He's going to meet Slater. Erwin's going to have to back off here, but that healing doing so much work. In fact, actually a nice stun there coming through from Lost Boy. Health bars being traded forward, and Hyde is going to send Erwin packing, but Slater is going to come up pretty big here, still with a lot of HP. Supershot comes in, does miss one ability, but Lost Boy is going to fall down. Hyde is in a lot of trouble now as well. Tempo Storm. Their tempo has been mitigated by Fox. They find himself another 2 kills.
And Fox can go again for the central Treant here. Let's talk about this composition from Tempo Storm, because what they have done is they've got a composition that can dive quite handily. But for this to work, you need to be ahead, because you need to be such a distraction. We talked about the distraction theory with Baron yesterday. It's why the likes of Koshka work quite well in this scenario. You need to be such a threat in the early to mid game that you are worth paying attention to. So Ozo needs to be far enough ahead so that when he makes an engage with the Grace, he is the one that Fox have to focus before they turn their attention to Baron. In that case, then Barons can sit on the backline, follow up with the jump jets, and essentially jump in and do work feeling pretty undisturbed. The problem is, for Tempo Storm, is Ozo's now behind. Samuel is starting to accelerate. They can very easily put pressure on from range early on and then commit using the Lyra portal and the dual jump following that. Too many ways to get onto Baron when Ozo's behind here as well. This is going to be a tough situation, you feel, for Tempo Storm to recover from, because they realistically needed Ozo to get rolling, no pun intended, against Samuel here.
Well, they're going to find him yet again. Hyde is going to get jumped on by Supershot. He's going to use those boots for that mobility to get away. And now Erwin just piling on this pressure with no Crystal Sentry as well for either team at the moment. It's going to be easy pickings for Fox. They do take the healing camp here, and they are going to make the first rotation to the shop. So already piling on that pressure is going to leave Fox, Tempo Storm even, just a little bit scared, I think, to even enter their own jungle.
They haven't put on as much pressure as I think they could have given the early game dominance here. They all are respecting those base damages from the Ozo, and the combo with the Grace is pretty powerful if you disrespect that. So there's been a very tempered early game from Fox. They didn't really invade the backs of Ozo. That's why you're not seeing huge CS differences open up between Erwin and Hyde, because at the moment Hyde has been consistently able to take his backs regardless of the situation, which is how he's kept up an experience despite being 0-2 and kept up in the farm as well. So I don't think maybe Fox have been a little bit too safe here in this situation, because Hyde isn't that far behind in terms of overall value against Erwin, although Erwin's hit a major item spike now in the form of that Frostburn.
Oh, Acrobats is going to get used. He follows Supershot to the turret. Look at that damage coming out from Hyde. Dreamer Circus is going to finish off the kill. And now Tempo looking to now collapse on Fox here, but Hyde is very low, so actually has to retreat towards the rest of his team. They do lose one member, but they're still going to able to take this front healing camp away, but that's a lot of pressure lost in the lane, and that will result in a lot of CS lost actually as well here for Supershot.
And again, Hyde, despite getting absolutely decimated in the early levels, is not really fallen that far behind in terms of usefulness, because, again, they weren't aggressive enough in the first 4 minutes into Hyde's backs, despite some of the major wins that they took in those fights, and kind of why I'm a little bit disappointed here. Tempo, I think, has been given a free ride, given the dominance of Erwin and Slater as a duo in the jungle. He's now finished his Aftershock. It's a major item spike for the Ozo. Can look to now start to apply pressure to a Samuel, to the duel, because let's be honest, Frostbird's not great against Acrobounce. You literally just Acrobounce on top of your target, and often Ozo just needs one ability and one combo to get the work done onto those squishes in the backline, especially in the early game. So keep your eyes on Hyde. He's also a little bit like Koshka. You need to have reflex blocks against an Ozo at level 6 because he can just pull the trigger and engage on you.
Well, he's got the ability to pull the trigger now. Has hit that level 6 mark. That Bangarang plus the aftershock damage is going to hurt one of the members of Fox, whichever he so chooses. You can imagine it's probably going to be Irwin or Super Shot, kind of ignoring Slater for the moment. And with Gatsby as well picking up that Sorrow Blade, he is packing a mean punch, but it does take at least 1 to 2 more items for him to fully come online. It's whether Fox want to pull this trigger now, or can just tempo weather out the storm that is the early game.
The problem is with the long-range Bangarang, I think Bright Bulwark can stop it in its tracks because it's such telegraphed ability as well. It's probably why Hyde is not going straight in onto the completely blanked Fox team, the Echo Fox. Yeah, it's been a long day. You know, it's probably why he's not pulling the trigger onto the Echo Fox team, because you know that you can very easily have that stop by Lyra, and then you're just stuck next to the Echo Fox team and with no real way to escape, especially as you won't be able to acrobounce through Bright Bulwark either. He's probably just looking for the prime opportune moment. Slater's picked up a Crucible now, so there's multiple ways for them to try and defend against this. And that's really, really good for the team, because no one has prioritized the very early reflex block from Echo Fox, and that means Slater's now going to be Guardian, you feel, for that engage from Tempo Storm.
Well, Slater, he managed to pick up that Lyra first rotation, or I should say Fox were able to pick up that first rotation as well, with Ozo picked into it. So they knew what they were getting into.
Let's take this to Samuel specifically, because Samuel struggles.
Oh, they're going to go in. Hang on a second here. Iron Cannon is going to come down. It's only going to find Lost Boy, but look at that damage. You said he wants to find the Samuel, and that's exactly what he did. Taking Irwin off the face of the fold. And with Hyde now taking a fair bit of damage, I mean, Super Shot can't really do much. Has to actually jump away in order to save his own life. Now Hyde actually taking away one of these healing camps to the front. He's going to take a lot of damage. Slater and Super Shot finding it, but that healer come out from the Ozo passive is going to be met with a kill. Not being able to survive that, and now Tempo Storm on the run. You could say that was a bit of over-aggression there. In fact, Super Shot is going to jump straight onto the Baron. He's going to get assassinated. And now Lost Boy Tough, the last member of Tempo Storm, alive on the field. They might just be able to find the ace here. Benediction onto the healing camp. Won't quite find it as Hyde just managed to spawn in time.
They're going to get out and get the healing camp, and there's the Jewel starting to come online, working towards that tension bow as well. She is going to hit like a truck. I think maybe Tempo Storm made a small mistake there. I mean, okay, Hyde committed to taking that healing camp away. Don't think he necessarily needed to. They actually had an opportunity to shove that lane in and get pressure onto the tier 1 turret while the chase was taking place. They decided to come down to support the Ozo while he was already caught. I think that was a wrong decision. I think at that point you cut your losses and you go for the damage on the turret at that point. But again, that should have been a fight that was an easy Tempo Storm victory. Having taken out Irwin so early on, they just say, okay, we've got a small win here. We don't need to accelerate this any further. Jewel's going to be struggling to clear waves against well, not really start struggling that hard, but we should be able to shove in with the Ozo onto the turret. But unfortunately, an overextension by Hyde and the resulting, I guess, response from his team has allowed Echo Fox to accelerate their lead a little bit further here.
Yeah, sitting about 2,000 gold in the lead. Not too much, you could imagine, only 9 minutes in, but 2,000 is about half a tier 3 item. So still have something above Tempo Storm. Even Harvest is going to get finished now by Irwin, so got that 2 item power spike online for him. It's going to be sustaining against Hyde, but the problem is, like you mentioned, he's going to be aiming for that Samuel more often than not, and you can see what kind of damage he's doing. Still has a little bit of time left on that infusion, but that will run out by the time the next fight does occur, you can imagine.
Super Shot's just infused at level 8, by the way. He's overdriven that Thunder Strike, so, you know, prime opportunity when you've got the first overdriven skill to use that infusion and search for fights. You can see the damage coming out from it. It's just insane levels of damage coming out from Super Shot, especially since he's got the critical strike now too. Toph just eating them up.
Toph just too scared to now walk towards... Oh my goodness.
Good hell.
Gatsby takes 1 Thunder Strikes and decides against actually stepping up to the minion wave. And now that turret is going to be on the menu for Fox.
Echo Fox have looked like a revitalized team, Jaws, with this Irwin coming back into the jungle. They have looked so good from the outset, and if they then get into finals, potentially, with the way that they're playing, looks like they are on the way, especially in this matchup here versus Tempo, although Super Shot forces the Crucible. He is going to use that ultimate do his best. Don't know how close that was.
Doesn't quite find the turret.
The shielding came back.
Oh man, inches of HP before that first turret was going to go down. Owen has been found, but Later actually blocking that one up. Here comes the Drifting Dark onto Lost Boy. Lost Boy in a lot of trouble. Here comes the Acrobat straight on Super Shot. He's found his target. He's found his mark, and he finds the kill as well. Hyde finds one. Now what can they do with this? Erwin still trying to kite back. He uses that Acrobounce to find him once more. Slater with too much HP and too much healing is going to be able to kite back without too much worry. Now Lost Boy and Hyde, they are very low. He jumps onto Erwin yet again, but this time underneath the turret. Gatsby jump jetting forward, just can't quite find the kill. And in fact, Hyde once more overextending, just goes down.
Erwin was searching for those kills with his Drifting Dark, but goodness me, again, overextensions from Tempo. They take a small victory and they turn it into a loss somehow because they get greedy for more. Especially Hyde here, he's been sort of overextending a lot. Toph has had minimal impact in these fights as well, getting caught out. And one of the things about Grace is she's not tanky. She has actually got one of the lowest base healths for a captain in the game. And the problem with that is that unless you have your Holy Shield maintained, you take damage as quickly as a carry would take damage, although you've got a little bit of health coming through with your items, obviously, but you aren't tanky compared to the likes of Lance or Finn. So you take so much damage very, very quickly if you aren't careful about the way that you use your Benediction and your Divine Intervention, maintaining those shields in succession to try and tank as much damage as possible in a team fight. And Toph, caught out there in the middle, easy targets for Super Shot, and he's also taking way too many Thunder Strikes from Super Shot before these fights even take place. You have to be careful of the fact that Jules' range on Thunder Strike is actually quite big. Can hit hard when she's got the critical strike behind her.
I mean, let's touch on Tempo Storm's team fighting ability now, because we've already seen what Hyde can do, especially when he gets on top of Erwin. It's going to be very easy for him to just try and delete him. But I guess the grace of Grace, if you will, using that Divine Intervention as soon as Hyde goes in, he takes a bit of damage. He has got that 45 HP as well, and it heals him up on top of that. You got to imagine that's the ideal team fight scenario for them. Send him in, Divine Intervention, keep him alive for him long enough to do the damage. And he's got a bit of sustain in his kit as well. It's whether they can actually make that work.
What I really like about the Ozo pick here is Jewel's not naturally going to build towards a Poison Shiv. So Ozo in this particular scenario is a good pick because of Poison Shiv being such a popular item in the meta for sort of classic weapon power carries, the likes of Vox, for instance. You know, it makes Ozo a little bit worse because he relies on his sustain to be a good hero in a fight, because that's what makes him so annoying. He sustains up so readily. Jewel's not going to build Poison Shiv, or she shouldn't really build Poison Shiv. So he's got the sustain there already, and he doesn't need to worry about that being reduced. Poison Shiv shuts down Ozo really hard. He's going to receive full Grace heals, he's going to receive full healing from his kit. He might be very difficult to take down, and once he builds up a little bit of armor, and that's where you can see he's prioritizing both that and the shielding, once he builds up some resistances here, he will be very hard to lock down in a fight. 4 items finished already for Gatsby. I mean, blinking hell, we're at 14 minutes and 4 weapon power items have been completed. It is the benefit of having the tension bow in your build. It is a very cheap item to complete, but that's a super quick acceleration towards Baron's late game. Yes, he is getting hit hard by Jewel, but he is going to hit harder now as well.
He got 559 damage just after 1 auto attack with the tension bow proc added on top. It's absolutely disgusting damage. And even Lost Boy Toph, yes, he's taking a lot of damage from those Thunder Strikes. But the thing is, if Gatsby can easily trade that up, like you said, it's very easy for Tempo to win these later game fights. And, like, I mean, Hyde's just not going to die at the end of the day. No Poison Shiv at all. I mean, not even building it just because you are against Ozo. They've just straight up decided not to do it and prioritizing damage over anything else. And hopefully the burst will just take someone out of the fight.
That's the important point you mentioned. The burst is really what they're going for with Fox now. They need to be able to burst characters very quickly because the sustain they can't play through. But late game, Grace is incredibly good against burst. We have a big engage taking place.
Oh my god, big engage. Look at Super Shot though. He's on the back line trying to take out Gatsby, but he's just going to get left on 3-ring circus. Oblivion as well. He's going to get blocked there. Already eliminating Jewel out of this fight just means Erwin is just kind of left for dead. There comes the bangerang, does find the stun. Lost Boy Toph's going to jump in as well. Another acro bounce, fortified HP for days on this. Ozo just obliterates him with Gatsby's damage as well. Slater has to use that passageway to safety, but the whole of Tempo Storm are just going to follow that one through. Another couple of rockets will finish off the kill, pick up the H for Tempo Storm. That Kraken has just spawned as well, perfectly timing that fight.
And I love what Lost Boy Toph has done here. He's gone for the build that is supposed to be protecting hyper carries with. He said, okay, no point in me getting Atlas here because I don't need it, because this is not a duel that's relying on attack speed. I am going to go straight for Shatterglass. Straight for Shatterglass, which gives me a major impact heal on a target. The Holy Shield prevents burst damage. It's a 40% damage reduction for the duration. You take a bit of damage, but you get healed an insane amount. And that is why Grace is good against burst compositions in hyper carry. So she can either use it on Hyde, who's not a hyper carry obviously, but Gatsby definitely is. So she can use it on Gatsby. And if he's getting burst out with the Jewel, who's really only sitting on 3 items at this point in time, so she's not likely to one-shot anybody at this point, that's Gatsby just going to survive almost every single time. And I am now worried for Echo Fox. I don't think they have what it takes to get through the level of protections that are now there for Gatsby. The fact that Hyde is almost unkillable with the sustain because you don't have anything that's going to build a Poison Shiv. And Poison Shiv is the quintessential item against sustain. You absolutely need it in these scenarios because heal is just so strong.
Well, that turret is going to fall. Hyde looking for a little something here for the sidelines, but that Kraken is still going to push, but Fox still have a lot of damage to take out that Kraken. Lost Boy taking too many hits. Actually, that's going to be an Acrobounce in, but it is going to be denied.
Oh, he's dead.
Hang on a second. I didn't even see that coming. Gatsby's going to jump forward here. Erwin taking a fair too many rockets. Has to just sprint back to base. Another kill for Tempo Storm. Make that a double for Gatsby. This is looking all too wrong for Echo Fox, who had such a promising early game start.
Yeah, but the problem is that they didn't do much with that early game. I don't think they pressured hard enough. They let that tower sit there for so long after a fantastic siege. Fountain comes out. Oblivion wards them away. This should be Fox maybe defending this. Hyde just jumps back and forth. In comes Jewel. Super Shot has to be very, very careful. Massive heal coming up from Toph. Not onto himself, though. Goes on to Gatsby.
Yeah, keeps him nice and safe. He knows he's fairly tanky. He's got Crucible, he's got the Fountain, but needless to say, Fox now not asserting their early dominance. They're definitely paying the price for it.
The build on Jewel as well, Jaws, that's just not enough damage to blow a hyper carry up through, not even through the Holy Shield, let alone the heals that are going to come up from Grace anyway. She could use Benediction, get the directional Holy Shield against the Jewel, and she still wouldn't be able to burst Gatsby at this point in time, which very few people know. That I think Baron is one of the highest base healths for any ranged carry because he is just so slow. That's one of the drawbacks of Baron. He's supposed to be slow but hits hard, but is quite tanky. And even with Slader going this very classic sort of new build that we see come out on Lyra, including the Slumbering Husk, which I think is an excellent item against the Baron, by the way, because you basically negate the first 2 auto attacks from the jump jets. This is a very heavy heal composition from Lyra, supposed to be sustaining in fights. Can't sustain through a Baron with 4 items. He just absolutely wrecks you.
Yeah, oh, they're looking to make a small engagement here. Acrobounce straight on top of Super Shot. It does jump away, but it's still going to follow him. Gatsby moving forward as well. There comes the Acrobounce again. Straight onto 2 targets. Erwin completely separated here. Hyde just trying to find that final blow. He ends up killing him. His health went from 0 to about half HP in an instant. Slater is going to get chased down as well. Super Shot just cannot find the entrance to this fight. Hyde going fairly low. Crystal Sentry doing a fair bit of damage.
1,000 healing!
Oh my goodness, he's getting ridiculous. Baron finds next kill. Gatsby's going to jump forward. That's going to be the ace, and that's going to be Tempo Storm as well, securing this game number 1 over Echo Fox.
They didn't push their advantage early enough in the early game. We talked about it all the way back at minute 6. Those double camps at the back, they didn't invade the backs enough. Ozo was equal on experience, equal on farm. And they let Tempo Storm get away with too much despite punishing them in sort of duels and trades so early on. I just don't think Echo Fox were aggressive enough here. They didn't push their advantage against the Baron. If you don't push your advantage against the Baron, Baron's going to run away with things eventually.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he did do. He's 8-1-3 at the end of it all as well. He had a CS lead, obviously gold lead as well. We'll see what the guys over on the desk have to say, because composition looked good from Echo Fox, just couldn't make it work.